Hi, I'm Mark Bryssanian with the Math Department at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. I'm coordinator of Math 1350, Survey of Calculus. In this course, we use a computer tool called MyLab. It's a system developed by Pearson, the publisher of our textbook. In this video, I'll walk you through the steps of getting MyLab configured. Now, I had help in producing this video from a student in the course so that we could actually see the student's perspective. So in other words, this video is a video largely of the steps that this student went through in getting his account configured and getting access to MyLab the first time. So I thank the student for doing that. Another thing that I want to mention is that this video was produced in August 2021 in preparation for the fall 2021 semester. So there are some dates from this semester mentioned throughout the video. But the video will work in future semesters as well. So you may be watching this video in some future semester and you'll pay attention to the steps but not to the exact dates mentioned. So we start by going to the Blackboard page for the course.
So this is the Blackboard page for the course, and you can see over on the left side of the page is the digital course materials link. At the bottom of the Blackboard page is a link to instructions for setting up and accessing MyLab Math. Click on that and let's see what that looks like. So there are the instructions for accessing MyLab and the online e-text. Now, this web page describes in print what we're going to go through just kind of on our own in this video. So we won't follow these instructions. These instructions are kind of an attempt to describe what you're going to go through when you go through the process. So let's go back to the tab for Blackboard, and on the left side, click on Digital Course Materials. That pops up this new frame, and there's a link that's called Vitalsource Course Dashboard. Vitalsource is an outside company that provides the content for the MyLab system. So click on that. So we reach this page that is a page of stuff from Pearson, the publisher of our textbook. Now there are a couple of things that we can click on here. There are actually two big green buttons, and there's a white button that says want to opt out. Let me explain what these are about. First of all, yeah, if you hover over that white button that says want to opt out, it turns green. The key thing is you don't want to click that white button. You don't want to click this opt out thing. So what is this opt-out business about? Well, Ohio University is part of what's called the Inclusive Access Program. What this is a program where the university has arranged with the publisher for a heavily discounted price for students in Math 1350 to get access to the course materials for the course. An electronic version of the textbook, and then this online system called MyLab, where the students do homework, and some students in the online sections will be doing quizzes and exams as well. So you can see that the price of these digital course materials is $55.99. That's crazy cheap. If you go on Amazon and you try to buy a print version of the current edition of our textbook, it's on the order of $200, crazy high prices. So to have this $55.99 price for these digital course materials is quite reasonable. Now, how is this billed? How do you actually pay the $55.99? Well, you, as a student at OU in this Inclusive Access Program, you don't have to do anything. The $55.99 will be billed to your OU account, and that billing takes place. You can see here on this screen, it says the last day to opt out is September 6th, 2021. In general, the last day to opt out is around the end of the second week of class. Now, what happens actually is during the first week of the first 2 weeks of the semester, you're not billed for these materials. You can actually use these materials for free. And if you drop the course during the first week or even during the second week, you'll never be billed for these materials. You'll get to use these materials for the first 2 weeks for free. At the end of the second week of the semester, is the last day to drop the course without getting a W on your record, and it's also the last day to drop the course without getting billed for these digital materials. So again, around September 6th in this fall semester 2021, and in future semesters around the end of the second week of class, you'll be billed this amount on your Ohio University student account. So that's what the inclusive access program is all about. You never have to get out a credit card online to pay for your digital materials. Your paying for this is through your paying your Ohio University bill, however you do that. So that's the inclusive access program that you do not want to opt out of. So what you do want to click on is one of these green buttons at the bottom, either the one that says Read Now or the one that says Launch Courseware. The Read Now button would take you to see the e-text, the electronic version of the textbook. The green button that says Launch Courseware will launch you into the MyLab system. Now, the first time you come through this step in the process, it doesn't really matter which of these green buttons you press because they're both going to take you to the same place. So we'll click on the Launch Courseware button. So that brings us to this screen. For students, you can see that you can have a couple of student links available in the lower left frame. At the top, there's a big yellow button that says Open MyLab and Mastering. In the future, this is where you'll be coming to go into the MyLab system. Now, if you click on that now, since this is our first time here, we get this user agreement, which is an endless thing that if you're really into reading these kinds of agreements, you can read it. Otherwise, you can just go down to the very bottom and click I accept. You click on that. And here we're being asked to give a Pearson account or create a Pearson account. So if you already have a Pearson account that you've used in some previous course, you can try logging in here using your Pearson username and password from the Pearson account that you've already created for some previous class. It might not be a math class. It might be that you'll have some Pearson account that you use that doesn't work. But if you have a Pearson account, you can try logging in with it here. If you don't have a Pearson account, you can create a new one. So this is our first time here, so we'll click Create. So students, when you give an email address, if you're creating a Pearson account, I strongly recommend that you use your OU email address. That is 2 letters and then 6 digits, I think, and then @ohio.edu. You can actually use whatever email address you want, but it really makes it easier at our end at Ohio University if your email address in your Pearson account matches the email address on your OU account. But you'll populate this form with your email address, username, password, all this stuff, and then you'll go on to the next screen. Now, in this video, I have a student who's going through this process, and he's going to populate this form, and then he's going to click Create Account. And we're not going to see that process in the video because I don't want you to see his personal information. So when this video resumes, we'll be at the next screen after the student types in all this stuff and clicks Create Account. So here we are in MyLab. So the student who's going through this with us finished filling out that form to create an account and clicked the button and reached a confirmation page. And then the confirmation page had another button that said, click here to go into the course. And so he clicked that button, and here we are in the course. Now, notice on the left side of the menu, left side menus, there's a button that says Assignments. If you click on that, it takes you to this list of all upcoming assignments with their due dates. Let's click on homework number 1. So notice homework number 1 is just a bunch of questions. There's no video for homework number 1. Now go back to the list of assignments. click on homework number 2. Homework number 2 has 4 questions, but they're not available to be clicked on yet. You can't click on those buttons and can't click on those questions until you watch the video. So if you click on the video, it'll pop up a window which we can't see. It's a pop-up window that the student sees, but it's not being recorded in this Teams video. Now click on the button for notes. And again, that has popped up a window that the student can see, but we can't see because it's out of the frame of this recording. Now you can see that those 4 questions are active links. Click on one of those, and it pops up a separate frame in which the student can do those homework problems. So now go back to the left menu and along the side of the screen. Notice there's another link for e-text. If you click on that, that takes you to the electronic version of the book that you can read. So click on that and see how that looks. It might open up in a new window. So this is one way to come online and read the book. Now go back to the other tab and click farther down. Oh, click farther up, sorry, where it says gradebook. You'll come to this gradebook to see your scores in MyLab, but you'll find that this gradebook is a little bit frustrating in that it's pretty sparse on information. So the gradebook you're going to want to keep an eye on is in Blackboard, not here in MyLab. Go farther down on the left side to where the menu item is purchase options. Now, here's where you can, if you prefer to read a printed book, you can come and buy a print copy from Pearson. It's on the order of $50 for a 3-hole punched print copy of the book. All right, so let's exit out of this. So sign out. And then close all the tabs but the original Blackboard tab. All right, so now we're back in the original Blackboard tab that got us into all this. The Blackboard screen where we clicked Digital Course Materials, Vitalsource Course Dashboard, and we reach this frame that has all these options from Pearson. Now let's see what happens if we click that Launch Courseware button again. We reach this screen. Now click either the yellow button or either of those other buttons. Try this one again. Notice we don't have to go through the process of creating that account. The system remembers your Pearson account information. So that first time you go into the system, you'll be confronted with that process of having to create a new Pearson account, or if you have an old Pearson account, logging in with that old Pearson account. But once you do that the first time, Blackboard and this Vitalsource course dashboard process that we went through, those web pages remember who you are, and so you'll be able to get into MyLab more quickly. Now, as a last note, I want to point out that the way that you get to MyLab is always the process that we went through today. That is, you come to Blackboard, you click the Digital Course Materials link, you click the Vitalsource Course Dashboard link, and then you reach this page where you can click on one of these green buttons. Some of you may have used the MyLab system in a previous course. And in your previous course, you may have gotten to MyLab directly without going through Blackboard. And so in those situations, you would have had to use had to have a course ID for the course, and you would have gone to a Pearson website and you would have gotten into the course using that course ID. But in our course, since we're using the Inclusive Access program, you have to get to MyLab by going through Blackboard. You don't need a course ID. So if you ever reach a page where you're being asked to provide a course ID, that means you're in the wrong place. You should not need to give a course ID to get into MyLab for our course. You should get into MyLab by going to Blackboard. So if you email your instructor and say, I need the course ID, what's the course ID? The instructor should not give you the course ID. They won't give you the course ID. They'll tell you, you need to go to Blackboard, get into MyLab that way.
Well, that's the setup for the MyLab system. You go to Blackboard, go to the digital course materials link, you go to the Vitalsource course dashboard link, and that takes you into the MyLab system. I hope that you find this video helpful and that you're able to get into the MyLab system and get started doing work for the course right away. Good luck.